Hello. Okay.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Great. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that. I appreciate it. My name is Catherine from SEB Housing. Sorry for the delay. This is the lottery for Highland Park and Wellesley. So let me just bring up my information here before we start. I'm going to give you some information about the lottery pool, who applied, before I actually run the lottery itself. So if you have any questions during this session, you're encouraged to either type them into the Zoom chat or unmute yourself momentarily. As you came into the meeting, you were muted just so we can minimize outside noise during the drawing. And also the meeting is going to be recorded and saved to the SEB Housing YouTube channel later on tonight, in case any applicants who were not able to attend want to watch the drawing. So first, just want to give you some background information on the lottery, how many applicants applied. No need to write any of this information down. It's all going to be provided to you in a attachment to an email that you'll get later on tonight with the lottery results. So everyone who was approved for this lottery should already have a lottery application number. So your number is between, or it's in the form of a dot, a series of numbers. And in this case, it's between A.001 and A.0216. If you don't have that number, or if you are not sure what it is, it should be in your email when you were approved. If you don't have it, let me know. So there's 5 total affordable units, and we received 204 completed applications. So there's going to be 204 households in this lottery. Those numbers go up to 216 because there were some duplicate applications that we needed to remove before finalizing everything. So there's 1 3-bedroom apartment. There were a total of 105 applications for that unit. The waiting list for the 3-bedroom unit is also going to have local preference. So that means that applicants who have local preference, so those of you who live, work, or have someone in your household going to school in Wellesley, will have priority over similarly sized households who do not have local preference on that waiting list for the 3-bedroom. There are 21 households that are going to be on that waiting list that indicated that they have local preference. There's also 3 2-bedroom apartments. There was a total of 64 applications for those units, and the waiting list for 2 of those 2-bedroom units will have local preference, and there were 13 applicants for the 2 bedrooms that indicated that they qualify for local preference. And then there's 1 1-bedroom apartment that is a disabled accessible apartment, and there was a total of 50 applicants who were interested in a 1-bedroom apartment. 5 of those applicants indicated that they qualify or that they need the accessible features of that disabled accessible apartment. So those households will have priority on that waiting list for the 1-bedroom because they do need the features of the unit. So back when you completed your application, you will have indicated, and we will have confirmed for you your household type. So either type 1, type 2, type 3. And the reason I'm bringing that up now is because you want to keep in mind that for the 3-bedroom waiting list, type 3 households are going to have priority over type 2 households. And on the 2-bedroom waiting list, type 2 households are going to have priority over any qualified type 1 households. And that's really just meaning that the larger households, for the most part, are going to have priority over smaller households for the larger units. And that's just the way the affordable housing program is designed, so that households who require the larger units have priority for them. Also, for this lottery, 1-person households are not permitted to rent 2-bedroom units, and 2-person households can't rent 3-bedroom units. That should have been apparent for you when you were filling out the application, and then also if you applied for a unit that you were not eligible for, we already let you know that, but just want to bring that up again. So during the drawing tonight, you're not going to know where you are on the waiting list yet, because I still need to sort the results by priority. So by the household types that I just mentioned, by the local preference in some cases, and then whether or not your household requires that accessible unit. So when the drawing takes place tonight, like I said, you're not going to know exactly where you fall on the waiting list, even if you're drawn first, but I will be sorting the results tonight. So you'll get an email from me with the waiting list attached, along with some other information by tomorrow morning at the latest, hopefully tonight. So you won't have to wait too long to get that info. So when I do the drawing, there's going to be 2 drawings. I'm going to be using a website called random.org. I'm going to screen share so you can see it. And I'll first do the local preference drawing. That's going to include the 40 total households who indicated that they either live in Wellesley or work full-time in the town. or have a child going to school in Wellesley. So I'm going to put those 40 application numbers for the local preference household into a function on that website, and it will digitally generate a random order. So we try to do it this way, especially for larger lotteries, to keep it as truly random as possible. After that local preference drawing, I will insert the application numbers for all 204 lottery applicants into the same function on the website, and you'll see that second drawing and the random order that it generates. The randomization is going to be instantaneous, so you'll see it on your screen in real time, and you'll be able to view the process at that point. So I'm going to kind of give you a little demo of what that's going to look like. I'm going to go onto the website that I mentioned. Just again, this isn't the drawing itself. This is just me wanting to show you what it's going to look like before the drawings take place. So I'm going to screen share right now. You should be able to see just Google now. And I'm going to go to random.org.
I have a question.
Sure.
So, so what you're saying, okay, let me see how I want to word it. Sorry. Eli, I'm sorry. So you said that the priority people, so I know that you said that there's 1 3-bedroom apartment. So if somebody in the priority like one ends up getting the 3-bedroom, does that mean that everybody else who applied for the 3-bedroom is on the wait list now?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody's gonna be on the wait list anyway. Yep.
Oh,
so
okay. Yep.
The lottery itself tonight, basically the reason we're holding a lottery is to generate kind of an order of priority on the waiting list.
Oh, okay. So, yep.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that the first person on that waiting list is going to rent the apartment. That
right.
Depends on whether or not they're approved and if they follow through the process.
Right.
And then, we just go down the list from there.
Perfect. Okay. Yep. Thank you for explaining that.
Yep. No problem. So this is the website I'll be using. I'm going to go to list randomizer. That's the function I was talking about. And when the time comes for the lottery in just a few minutes, I'm going to be copying and pasting the lottery application numbers in this box and clicking randomize. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One on each line here. And then when I click randomize, you're going to see, it just spits out a randomization of those numbers. So in this case, lottery application number 1 was first and 3 was second, all of that. So that's how the results are going to come back in just a few minutes. And I will copy and paste this into a document that'll be easier for you to see. I can go ahead and look up your number if you're interested to see where it fell, even though, again, these won't be the actual results just yet. So I'm going to stop sharing for now, but then I'm going to share again in just a few minutes when I do the actual drawing. So the waiting lists that are generated after I do the drawings, it's like I said, it's randomizing it or after I sort the results, it's determining the order. The waiting lists are determining the order in which households get to reserve units. So it's, again, important to remember you've only submitted your lottery application, which was self-reporting your income and assets and all of that. So you haven't been screened for the affordable housing program other than just us confirming that you submitted the lottery application and it was approved based on what you reported. So still have a few steps in the process after tonight. And after the lottery, either tonight or tomorrow morning, you'll have an email in your inbox from info@sebhousing.com. And if it's not from I should say it will be from no reply at sebhousing.com, but you can email us any questions to info@. That'll have information on next steps. It's also going to have a copy of the waiting list attached to the email. You'll be able to see your lottery application number on the waiting list. And if you were interested in more than one unit size, you're going to see your lottery application more than one time. So if you applied for a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom, you will be on both waiting lists. You'll see that. So when you receive that email with the waiting list, you're going to see that the top numbers, the top lottery applicant numbers, on each waiting list are going to be highlighted in green, and that's because the households, those households will be invited forward right away to complete the process, move on to the next step in the process, which is applying for a lease with the leasing office over at Highland Park. So that's the point where, you know, the leasing office might do credit check, you know, background check, reference checks, that sort of thing. And the leasing office will likely invite more households than there are available units. So there's that 1 3-bedroom unit, they might invite 5 people forward to go through the process. And that's pretty typical of a leasing office because, you know, applicants sometimes drop off or ineligible, or they change their mind about renting a unit and they want to make sure they have kind of a chunk of applicants moving forward. So if one person takes a while to respond and all of that, the process isn't kind of gummed up by that person. So if you're found to be lease eligible, the household with the highest position on the waiting list will have the first chance to select and reserve a unit. In this case, the 3-bedroom, there's only 1 unit you'd be reserving. So this is really more for the 2-bedroom units where there's several of them. You'd have first choice if you were at the top of the waiting list at any given time. If you're not at the top of the waiting list after we run the lottery, you're not going to be contacted unless 1 or more people ahead of you drops off the waiting list, which certainly happens more often than not. It's not usually, you know, if there's 3 units available, it's not usually households with position 1, 2, and 3 that rent the units. We usually do have to contact, you know, more households than there are units available. So if you're towards the top, but not quite at the top, you still do have a good chance of being asked to move forward in the process by filling out that lease application. And again, important to keep in mind that SEB Housing, we've only completed your initial program screening, so you haven't been found lease eligible by the leasing office yet. You don't want to give notice if you have a current landlord, if you're renting. You don't want to give notice to them if you are at the top of the waiting list, because there are still a few steps in the process to go. If you've been found lease eligible by the leasing office and you've reserved the apartment, the leasing office will notify SEB Housing and you'll be referred back to us at that point to do your income review. So that's the point in the process. We'll be asking for your income, asset, and tax documentation for your program eligibility review. So a couple steps, like I said, in the process still to go after this, but the lottery is an important step as well. So speaking of the income review, so when you were found eligible for this lottery, you should have received a link or a attachment that was called the Documentation Requirements Guide. And that's basically a document that's detailing everything that you'll need to submit for the final review. So hopefully you've been able to gather some of that information or you have it handy. For example, it's telling you, you know, how many pay stubs you might need, how many tax returns. And if you're called forward to submit all of that information to SEB Housing, you'll have about 10 days to get that required documentation into us. The leasing office has let us know that the affordable units at Highland Park, they're scheduled to be available for February 1st at the latest. So they were saying somewhere between January 15th and February 1st. Those would be the first leases. So just keep that in mind. Won't be too much of a delay now in getting leases signed. And then just a final reminder, if you end up leasing one of the affordable apartments, this is true for any property with affordable units, you will need to have a recertification every year with the leasing office. So you want to maintain your records throughout the year. So, you know, up-to-date pay stubs, tax returns, that sort of thing, because about 3 months before your lease renewal date is when they'll be asking for that information to confirm your eligibility for the program. So any questions before I do the drawing? I'm ready to move on to screen share again. All right, I'm going to go back to random.org here so you can see my screen. And I'm going to, this is the these are the lottery application numbers that I'm going to be copying and pasting onto the list randomizer. So this is the local drawing that I'm going to be doing right now. These are 40 application numbers of the local preference households. These are the households who indicated on their lottery application that they either live, work full-time, or have a child in their household who's attending Wellesley Public Schools. So I'm going to copy and paste these numbers into the list randomizer, and I'm going to run the first drawing, which is the local preference drawing for Highland Park. So there's 40 numbers here. Again, this is the local preference drawing. I'm going to do randomize. Here's the 40 numbers in the order that they were drawn. We don't have to look at this now because I'm going to put it onto this spreadsheet so it's a little easier for you to see. And then I'm going to do both of the drawings before I look at the numbers for you and kind of scroll through everything so you can see it. I'm going to save those results. So this is showing you that, I'm going to hide this so there's no confusion, but the person who was drawn first, the lottery application number that was drawn first in the local drawing is A.0158, and it goes down from there. So I'm going to do the general drawing now, and then I'm going to circle back to both of these if you want to have a look to see where your number was drawn. So in the general drawing, which is everyone, so there's 204 application numbers here. I'm going to completely get out of that list so there's no confusion. I'm going to go back to the list randomizer, and I'm going to take all 204, of these numbers and put them into this randomizing tool again. So this is the general drawing. So everyone who applied and was approved for Highland Park's lottery. The 204 application numbers were just placed in there. I'm going to click randomize, and there's the number again. So it goes down to 204. And I'm going to copy and paste these results into the spreadsheet so it's a little easier to see. And then we'll go through this together so you're able to view the results. I'm going to hide that first column again so there's no confusion. I'm going to save this. And here's the local drawing. Since there's only 40 here, I'm just going to scroll through. If you are looking for, if you indicated that you had local preference, you should see your number on this screen. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Column C here is the order in which you were drawn. And then these are the application numbers here that start with A. And then I'll click over to the general drawing as well. That was the local list. This is the general list. The application A.0159 was drawn first, and then we go from there. Again, these are not sorted results or anything, so that application number, the household associated with that application number that was first, we don't know what unit size they applied for. We don't know what household type they are, and etc. So I still need to sort the results, but I'm scrolling down now. Once I get to the bottom, if you don't see your number and you want me to look it up for you, I'll be happy to do that. It's only about 15 on a screen at a time, so it's going to take a sec here. So for anyone who hasn't seen their number that wants me to look it up, I can go ahead and do that. If you just put the number put your lottery application number into the chat, or if you're on the phone, or if you just prefer to say the number, you can go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so A.0150, sorry. A.0105 was the first one there. You were drawn 100 and, hold on, let me do the whole workbook here. 190th. You were not on the local preference. So that was 105. I'm now doing 118, 0118. You were drawn 194th. On the general, you were not on the local. 0181. 170th, not on the local. 205, 176. On the local drawing, you were 4th. That's 0205. 120, 0120. 196 on the general. On the local list, you were 19th. Anyone else want me to look up your lottery application number? And it just, again, these results will be sorted tonight, and the waiting lists will be sent to you once the sort is done.
How about 166, please?
0166.
Yes, please.
You were drawn 29th in the general drawing. Yep, and not on the local.
Thank you.
I think this is a new one here, 0123. You were drawn 117th. Anyone else? All right, so thank you for joining tonight. Like I said, this is just kind of one step in the process, because once I sort the results, you will get an email with the waiting list showing it's not going to show your name or anything. It's just going to be the lottery application number on each waiting list for each bedroom size, and some more information about the lottery pool, who applied, and next steps and all of that. So if you have any questions once you get that email, feel free to let us know. If you don't see your number, anything like that, let us know, and we will be in touch very soon.
So how long would it be for that email to come out, please?
Tomorrow morning at the latest. It should be tonight, though.
All right. Thank you much.
No problem. So A.0205, yep, you were 176. So you're asking which list. So there's no list yet. Whatever, oh, hold on, you might be on the local list too. Yep, you were 4th on the local list. So whatever unit size that you applied for and were approved to enter the lottery for, you'll be on that waiting list. So if you apply for a 2-bedroom and you were approved to be on the 2-bedroom waiting list, you will be on the 2-bedroom waiting list when it's sent to you. So if you applied for more than one unit, you'll see your number on more than one waiting list. So when you get it, just, I mean, it's going to be a PDF, so you could look for it by doing Control F on your computer, or if you're on your phone, you might have just to take a minute and scroll through. But if you don't see it, or if you have any questions on the format of the waiting list or anything, just let us know. All right, so you should all get an email. Like I said, it'll be from either info@sebhousing.com or noreply@sebhousing.com, and we'll be in touch very soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Have a good night.